Welcome to another edition of the Glint Standard. Today we're talking about business survival, especially small business survival. And who better than our very own Craig to talk about it? So get ready, stay with us for the next 15 minutes, and you'll learn something, I promise. Hey,
No pressure there. Gotta learn something now.
you have to leave a takeaway.
Can I learn
that
something,
sticks.
or people watching are supposed to learn something?
Well, people watching are supposed to learn. And sorry, my voice is crazy. I think it's just allergies. I'm really.
It's all that yelling.
It's
you
not
did
the
this weekend.
normal. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Well, you're celebrating 24 years in business.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And that is not an easy feat in
I agree.
business ownership. Yeah, and I think sometimes people forget that Glint is, they think creatively, but they forget that it's a business, that has operations and major decisions that impact operations and those sorts of things. And so I think it's really about time and a good time for you to talk about the do's and don'ts of small business ownership. I think it will help a lot of people. Also, I should note that we've been talking to a lot of nonprofits and people starting up and getting their businesses going. And, this is the type of guidance that they need. So, yeah, I think first, so what's your first do? I think we'll go back and forth.
Yeah, we'll probably go back and forth a little because you're gonna have to keep me from rambling probably because I could ramble forever on this one.
Okay.
First, if you have the entrepreneurial spirit and you want to do it, do it. That's the first do. The first don't is don't go into it just with passion. Know you've got to run a business. It means you got to know the financing, understand how taxes work, know how to file your 941s. You get to employees, a whole nother level. Just know it's work to run a business.
Right.
And it will not survive just on passion.
Yeah.
The fail rate is so high, and I think that is part of it. Right.
I think, and you're also doing things that you may not do necessarily on a day-to-day basis, but you now have to pay attention and do those types of things. And then eventually, as you grow, you get help with that, but it starts pretty much with the entrepreneur.
You're doing
Would that
it all.
be right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're doing it all. You have to do it all.
Yeah.
It's smart to do it all. If you learn how to do it, you also learn what you don't want to do, what you do want to do. So you can find that passion and love in other areas as well. But that passion for the business is what will drive you through the hard times. And it's not really challenging.
Yeah.
When it's doing great.
Of course.
But it's never going to do great all the
people-
time. It's just not.
Like,
it's the ebbs and flows of
we
business.
wish everything was great
Oh,
every
it'd
day.
be awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not.
The reality is you have to plan your business just like you plan your life, right? There's going to be things that hit you. Some you see coming, some you don't. What do?
Right.
Are you prepared?
Yeah.
And doing and really just setting yourself up for success. I think one of the biggest challenges, talking to a few business owners that have started and failed a few times, and some just never have it. They just don't have what it takes to do it, and that's okay. But you have to recognize that too, and stop trying to start a business if that is not truly what your gift is.
Yeah.
But you go and when you start out, you don't have any money, so you start getting money in. When you start spending the money, you have a salary, you take care of your family, whatever that is. You decide your taxes, which is a big part of.
I think
big part that nobody knows.
I think that is the one thing that I hear you talk about a lot and often. Probably because before you started Glint, maybe that was not as familiar. You paid your taxes for your home and your family and all, or just to be a good American, good citizen.
Yeah.
But business is a totally different set of rules, or it's. I would see it as like a class. I think if you offered a business tax class, it would be
I don't know if I
valuable.
should do a tax class.
Well, I'm just
but
saying.
taking one would be smart.
But you've learned a lot over the years.
You definitely do. And anybody who's been in business for, probably 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
if you make it over the 5-year hump, you're in. You're
Yeah.
good. You've hit pretty much everything at that point. Because 5 years, the other mark where a lot of them shut down and fail.
Mm-hmm.
But the taxes piece of it, you've got to hold money back for these resources and these things.
Mm-hmm.
You've got school taxes, property taxes, in Texas we have franchise tax. So
Yeah.
you have to know what those are. And you don't necessarily have to figure it all out, because I didn't know all of it in the beginning. But I also held some back for the unknowns and just know they're coming.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't hit you as hard, right?
So then this is another thing that I think you've taught me over these almost 3 years. Preparation is key. Preparation, thinking ahead, not waiting until the last moment. Just to be prepared so it doesn't hit you as hard when the time comes. But the other thing I was going to ask you is for anybody who really needed help on figuring out the tax or navigating through taxes, where should they start? What should they do?
A lot of it depends on who you are. Are you familiar? Do you have with your industry? Do you have a good peer group? You need a group that's not just going to be hoorah supportive, but kick you in the teeth when you need to be kicked in the teeth, right? But there are a lot of, like the Fort Worth Chamber is an example for us. Chambers can help with that. There are resources within the chamber.
Right.
Sometimes you need to pay for those resources. Sometimes you don't. So that's going to depend on you a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good.
SCORE is a good place to kind of get some basic learning as well as you're trying to navigate what it's really like.
Okay.
There's a lot of online resources. There's a lot of books. Just depends on what your nature is.
Yeah.
I think what you can fall into, and this will kind of bridge the gap of starting as well. You'll start spending money on consultants and coaches and books and all these things. Prepare yourself to be perfect so you can start. And you will never start because you will never be ready.
Because you'll never be perfect.
You got to just go.
Because you'll never be perfect.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely not possible. And you're going to make so many mistakes. So if you have a great group around you that has maybe had a similar experience, learn from that. Doesn't mean you have to say yes and do what they did. But just know, here's a path.
You
And then
need a
choose for
resource.
yourself, right? But don't go buy or rent a big old office space,
Yeah.
fill it with furniture, and put yourself in $50,000 worth of debt on day
too
one.
much
Just
overhead.
don't do it, because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Right? Especially this day and age. You can work through some of that. But I will say, if you're serious about it, companies are going to be a lot more comfortable working with you. A stake in the game. Stake in the game is, I call it real estate.
Okay.
No matter how big or small.
Yeah.
You are spending and investing in your business, and it shows. It builds a confidence that you're going to be around.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
that's
usually
true.
when you start, it's just you, right?
Because I was going to ask about perception, and how much that plays a part too,
It
as
does.
you're setting things up.
It
And
does.
how do you balance that?
Yeah, there are a couple of different ways to go about the entrepreneurship, right? And you start it, you want people to encourage you, be happy for you, and give you opportunity because you're being brave. You might find a little bit in that. Most people don't care.
Yeah.
They're going, okay, button up, get serious about it, because this is about money. It is. Then we can move forward together, and you're going to get more opportunity based on you feeling and appearing like you were buttoned up, right? And you understand your business.
think that's
You understand
true.
nuances of business.
Yeah.
People are going to ask that. They're going to care about that. I would,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, if you think about it, say you close a contract, say it's 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is. Then in 3 months, the business doesn't work out. The company that just invested in you is also in a challenging spot now. You've got to remember that side of it, and that's really caring about who you're working with and doing your due diligence to give them the affirmation and the comfort that you are there no matter what.
Right.
Past the word saying, I'm there no matter what. Show it. And that's where that branding, obviously what we do, that
Yeah.
becomes important. What does your image look like? Your personal image, your company image, how much should I invest in it? And you can go overboard in that stuff too. But yeah, it's the whole let's build it and they will come thing.
It's not.
It's not real.
It's not. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. But that is very true. Okay, let's go into another do. We pre-plan for our podcast, and I see here that you said market research
Yeah.
is a big do. So tell me, what are your thoughts here?
So
Or
you
basically, is it know your audience?
It's a little bit of both. Market research for me is going to be more about knowing your competitors and your environment, right? Your business environment. Is there an opportunity there? Are you another cog in the wheel? Or if you're an ice cream shop, there are already 10 within a mile radius.
Yeah.
Probably not smart to set one up there,
Right.
So that's a little bit of market research for us. And when I started this, what are the other agencies doing?
Yeah.
What are some of the pain points that I'm seeing from their customer base, or what I can discern from that, right? What should the price point be as I'm starting up?
Right.
And then in a certain amount of time, should it change? So you're kind of putting a business plan together at the same time with your market research. That is a part of a business plan. What's your capacity? It's 100%.
Yeah.
24/7.
I'm
When you
here.
start, I mean, it's just you got to do it all.
Yeah.
You go out. It's really, it's such a high and low emotional piece of it, because you'll go out and get some new business. You're like, yeah. You're like, it's so great.
Yeah.
You go, oh no, I got to go do the work.
I know.
And then you get the work done and they love it. You're like, oh, it's so great. I got to find more business.
I gotta do it. Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
You kind of have to be sick to do it a little bit.
So no, I don't think you have to be sick.
But market
I think
research
you
is
have to
very
be
important.
adaptable, definitely.
Adaptable is probably a better word.
You know, yeah. But I think so. Market research. So I guess a good tactic is perform a competitor analysis, and it doesn't have to be something major or perfect. It can be just sitting down and doing a SWOT again. You know, on
SWOT is a really good way.
a
Some
competitor.
people blow that off now.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Make sure you're looking at the opportunities piece of that SWOT to help you take your business a little bit further. But really, it's just sitting down and saying what differentiates you.
And taking the time just to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really don't just throw something down. Really think about it. I mean, that matters. You talk competitor analysis, basics 101, right? Find 3 competitors that are in the exact same spot
3
you're
competitors. Okay.
in. So you can kind of see how you're aligning, what you're doing better, how's your price point.
Right.
Then find 3 competitors of who you want to be. I can compete with that because I'm good enough to do that. But this is where I want to go, because that's going to help drive you forward a little bit too.
So
and
the
then
present
be done
and
with
the
it.
future.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
be done with it. Move
Yeah.
on to the next phase.
And again, doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
Really. It's
No.
just taking the time to think about it and to put it on paper, and you can kind of see, and then that'll take you a path forward. I think people would be excited when they sit down and they see all of that, and it really lays a direction, you know.
It tells you what's possible, because then you're leaning into your demographics, like you said. That's research too, right? Where is my audience? What age are they? How much money do they need to make? Where do they live? Where do they work? Where do I need to be? How do I find them? You know, and really think through that.
Right.
You can't touch everybody every once. So go, this is capacity wise. This is what I can do now. Now I need to move forward. I need to hire somebody to help me touch more people. That thing. That's the marketing side of it, right? But then your budgets start coming into play. Okay, I've got a budget in for these things and these expenses, this software. What's my ROI with closing business? What is my conversion percentage? Cost me this much to gain a client, but I'll get this much profit off of it. Okay, capacity wise, how much can I get? So realistic, I know how much I can make. That way you're not saying I am worth $100,000, and you're just saying I should be paid $100,000.
Yeah.
Maybe you should. Doesn't mean it's out there.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can get that year one.
Yeah.
But if you make a plan for it, it shows that it is possible. If you do these things, it will happen.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's basic planning, right?
Basic planning and just knowing things before you move. You know, because I think sometimes we don't collect enough information before we act, and that's in anything.
It's a really good point.
You know.
It's a really good point.
So before you take a step forward, just kind of know the lay of the land. All right, so give me a don't. Oh, I'm going to kind of segueing off of what you said. You said, don't ignore marketing.
Yeah. Whether you're hiring someone or doing it yourself. And starting out, a lot of times, there's a way you can do it yourself. That leans into your capacity of being able to find opportunity and do the work, but maybe that's just where you are, right? there's a line where you should invest money and shouldn't invest money, and you have to determine where that is for you based on your effort and based on what your bankroll is, really. Right? That matters. You can't start a company with no money.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Now, how much you put into it, that depends on you. But if you spend all your time on marketing and you're not good at it, you're never going to get the opportunities you need. That business is not going to make it.
Yes.
But you can put some into it. Just be realistic with the expectations of what it is. And talk to some marketing people, and they will help align those expectations. And they'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I think what's coming to mind is just balance completely. Just not too much of one thing, not too little of another, that sort of thing. Just in your decision making, just a little sprinkle of things. Not a sprinkle, but some balance.
Is, though. A little sprinkle of a lot of things,
right? Yeah.
And some will be bigger sprinkles, some will be smaller, but they all have to be there. You have to have marketing. You have to have accounting.
Right.
You have to know budgeting.
Yep.
You got to know operations. Depending on your business, you got to know inventory management. You got to know where those dollars are. You got to know these things, and then you have the opportunity finding and the work.
Right.
Which is completely separate. This is why you started, because this is what's awesome and funny you love. It's 2 pieces of the 6 pieces, and that's what you have to remember. So if you don't like those other 4, maybe entrepreneurship's not for you.
Yeah.
And be real about that. But
or you surround yourself with people who do know. And I listen to a podcast every week. It's weekly, and it's the Bookshelf. The owner of the Bookshelf in Thomasville, Georgia, and she will have segments about small business ownership throughout, talking about books or whatever. And one of the things that she said, because she was a journalist, she was like a communications major, and she took over this bookstore that was owned by others, and she was scared like the first 3 years of it being in operation. But what she had to learn was to bring in people. So if you know that accounting is not your thing, it's okay to have somebody help you with 100%. That and to handle that, so that you can free yourself up to do things that you are really good at doing. And so she has lots of good hints. Like, she just brought on a public relations officer, and so anyway, Annie's Bookshelf. I can't remember the name of the podcast, but anyway, they're in Thomasville, Georgia, small business. Nice. But anyway, I think she offers some good advice, and it's very similar to what you're saying as well.
I love I love the podcast and the information that you fall onto sometimes, and where you just feed you. But that's part of research too. You're enjoying it, but you're still getting what you need out of it. You can apply to life.
Yeah. That's true.
I think that's smart. Wow. That's where that passion is, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, I'm gonna end us on a do about networking.
Do about networking.
Do it.
Do it.
Do talk to people.
Yes. You got to get out, whether it's physically, if there are other ways. There's groups, associations. There's social media. There's so many ways to do it.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so give us the most valuable information you've gotten out of networking.
Don't be afraid to ask for business.
Okay.
That's it.
Where were you when you got that advice? Do you remember?
I was at a chamber event, first one. I started this business, obviously, almost 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Very young. Had no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
Knew I wanted to do it. Was willing to learn, could learn. And I did not like getting up and getting in front of people. So I made myself do it. And we're in this room, super intimidated. There's older people. Almost everybody is older than me.
I couldn't think back on chamber.
And you get on a committee thing, it's just super intimidating. But then what you realize is they're trying to figure it out just like you are.
Oh, yeah.
And you start to talk and embrace, and all of a sudden, the appearance of people can throw you a little bit. Nobody's trying to make you look bad, make you uncomfortable. People want you to be comfortable, and the right people want you to succeed, and they want to help with that, right? And encourage you to do so in a good way. So I think that is probably the best advice and the best. So
somebody said to you, you need to ask for business, and you were like,
I learned that.
Okay.
I just learned that After talking to people that I'd met over the years,
I got it.
Well, why did you never ask me?
Mm-hmm.
I just figured, I mean, you knew what I did. You'd say, hey, I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
And that person did say, well, that's great, and I do know. I said, however, sometimes you got to pull it out of people a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're truly trying to help, you won't feel bad about it. If your mindset is, I need money, so I'm going to ask everyone I can so I can get some money.
That's the wrong way.
It's the wrong way, and it
Yeah.
feels weird. But hey, I can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if nothing else, let's sit down for an hour. Let's talk. You'll know more than you did when I got there. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, that's great too.
That is a definite.
And when you're ready, I'm here. Because you need business today. You also need it 2 years from now. And that's planting those seeds. It's having those discussions. And it's taking the time to be willing to talk to people. And when you've done it a long time, like I've done now, it's easier to do those things because you're just having conversations.
I love that that's built into our Glint brand. I really do. Because it's just something that happens. We're not, when we sit down and talk with people, we're not like clocking the hour.
No.
You know, none of that. It is just literally strategizing and finding a path forward. And whether we're a part of that path forward, we hope to be. But if we're not, best wishes. You know, maybe there will be another time.
Can I throw one more nugget out?
Okay, go ahead.
One more nugget. Say no.
Say no.
It's at some of those meetings, right? You meet with somebody like, okay, gotta pay my bills. And you do make some decisions because of that. But you shouldn't make every decision because of that. If it's not going to be a good fit, just say, I don't think we're a good fit. And if they ask why, explain. Because already you're in a different footing and the respect comes off of that and it takes the discussion a little deeper. Still may end up with no. But you're driving and you're controlling that environment now. And it's important to do that. Otherwise, people tend to want to walk all over you. You know what I mean?
Do you say no?
Yeah, saying no is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, it protects
And
you a little bit.
Yeah, and being transparent. It helps build credibility.
Absolutely, it does.
Well, all right. Anything else you want to say before we close?
I don't know. We got another
Feel
couple
good?
hours. We can go for a bit.
I know. I mean, but we did give a lot of do's and a lot of takeaways on where people should go. So I think that's a good.
It is, and let me end it this way because I
Okay.
feel like it's a lot of challenges. Just like, if
Okay.
you're going to do it, do it. Be excited about it. It's awesome. Don't get so worried and discouraged about lining everything up perfectly. If you feel like that is in your wheelhouse and that's something you need to do, do it.
Yeah.
Be fine with failing.
Yeah.
If you fail, great, go get another job.
At least you can
But
say
do
you
it,
did it.
right? Take that passion, take that energy, because the freedom and the life you will get off of doing your own thing, you can't put it into words.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you just can't. You have so much control over your life that way. You know, it's not less stressful. It's not more beneficial. It's just more control.
Yeah.
I like some control.
We know. We know. But yeah, no, that's really good advice. And as I said earlier, we can see that it's worked for you and for Glint and where Glint is going. And that is very exciting.
It is
so
exciting.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
I'm glad you're here too.
Thanks.
Couldn't do it otherwise.
All right, you guys, you know where you can find us. You can find us on social media and you can find us on YouTube. I guess it's the same thing though. We will be back next month with another great topic for the Glint Standard, so join us.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Glint Standard. You can see more episodes here or click the logo below to follow our channel, and please hit the thumbs up if you like this episode.